How do you feel about the sort of rise of the Restomod? Now, they've been around for a long time. Like E-Type Eagles and stuff like that have been around for a long time, but we're seeing a lot more now. I would say, you might disagree, a lot of supercars at the moment are getting very sort of homogenous. They are different. They do have their own characters, blah, 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 badges, whatever. But twin turbo V8 in some whatever body. Whereas all of these Restomods are incredibly different, but seem to be getting much more popular. What do you think about them?
I love them. I absolutely love them, and I totally. So I was just going to say after that, that DB5 in a way encapsulated so much of what I think everybody loves in Restomods. And when I first joined Evo, and I was however old I was, and I could have quoted pretty much every number in the back of that magazine in terms of the knowledge.
Yep.
It's all in there. You know, it's just that was what it was. And I had to do the knowledge for a long time. So I was the person that, again, talking of jobs that nobody wants to do, I was the one that had to sit there and go through it all and enter all the details and do all that. So I know, you know, is that right, wrong, whatever. So I had to do all that. So I know it's kind of, but after, I don't know, 5 years of being there, I realised I couldn't have told you, certainly the newer entries in there. I was like, why can't I tell you what the brake horsepower is of this? And it's because you realise that actually it doesn't matter. What the number is on a piece of paper is really irrelevant to actually how the car feels going down the road. You know, you drive. It's one of the things with electric cars these days, whereby the numbers behind them, the actual acceleration, isn't necessarily as exciting. You know, doing a 0 to 60 in 2 point something in a Taycan or Tesla or whatever. For some it's weird because it's a very different feeling accelerating hard in one of those compared to, say, a latest 911, 992 Turbo S. Very similar times, but actually it's a very different feeling. Anyway, that's one for another day. But compare that to, I think the most exciting car I've ever done 0 to 60 in was a Murcielago SV. And I remember it was Saturday morning down at Millbrook, and it was a little bit damp, and we got the time, I think we got 3.6 to 60, and then somebody rang up Italy and said, is that okay? And they're like, yeah, it's all right, yeah, if you could have another go at sort of I was like, fair enough, okay, we'll go and do one more launch of this, and you get everything, turn it off, and I thought, right, we can turn everything. They wanted you to launch it, I think, in sort of the halfway house, something like that. I can't quite remember. Anyway, you turn everything off. Basically, whereas normally you sort of think you'd try and limit the slip off the line, obviously, and you just want that maximum traction. Yeah. Actually, the way to do it in this was simply to light up all four wheels, and you just remember, you just light up all four wheels, and you just kept the revs, kept them spinning all the way through first, and it would also take attitude off the line for whatever reason. There's obviously some slight inconsistency, so it would go bang, and you just take attitude, have it all four wheels spinning all the way through first, this amazing noise from this naturally aspirated V12 behind you. You're basically just thinking, what on earth is going on? And then you've got a big paddle here, and you just be watching the revs with the mile straight ahead of you, pull the paddle, bang, and it snaps straight, and off you go. And then it was easy because you just pull gears whenever, and that's what it took. 3.2, bingo, as fast as a McLaren F1, which obviously I can remember because it's an old car. And that in 3.2 seconds, my word, as hopefully you can tell, it has stayed with me. Yeah. And that's what I mean, the sort of the numbers, and this is what then brings me back to the Restomods, so that, fine, the numbers attached to them, you don't really see sort of the people talking about the 0 to 60 time or the top speed on these things, because it doesn't matter. And I think that's we've got the new GT3 coming out now, and it's not faster in a straight line really than the previous one. It is faster around the Nürburgring because it's got the new, and what interests me about it then is the new front suspension. Right? Yeah. How does it feel? Does it still, and it's crucial they kept the naturally aspirated engine, because it adds so much more, and that's what you want from a Restomod. And it's not about the speed, is it? I think that's sort of should almost be the strapline for all Restomods. It's not about the speed. Yeah. And there you go. And it's interesting because they're all different as well. And Alphaholics is different to an Eagle, which is different to the Cyan Racing.
Do you have a favourite of the ones you've driven? If you were going to get given one and you couldn't sell it, because obviously some are more expensive than others.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd be really torn because I love the Eagle low drag GT.
Very cool.
Sort of almost from just a pure aesthetic sort of point of view. I mean, they're fabulous to drive as well. But I remember being down at Eagle and seeing the very first body shell up on the wall and just thinking, wow, that is, you know, really, that's really something.